Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I'll bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico Easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
The Ticket. Michigan Insider Podcast is brought to you in part by defense attorney and WTKA legal insider Joe Simon. Find Joe at themichigandefenders.com.
Welcome back to the Michigan Insider, Sports Talk 1050, WTK The Ticket, online at WTK.com. And it's now time for the countdown of the 2021 Michigan football season. And as you can hear, that excitement in my voice is continuing to increase day by day as we inch closer to the start of the Michigan football season. We are 18 days away now until the start of the Michigan football season. 18 days until toe meets leather at noon at the Big House, Michigan versus Western Michigan on September 4th. 18 days. The countdown brought to you by our friends at Lewis Jewelers, your watch store, proud partner of Michigan Athletics and Sports Talk 1050, WTK The Ticket. Have a few former number 18s for you, and then there are actually two 18s on the roster. The first former number 18 is number 18, Raymond Bear. We're 18 Raymond Bear days away until the start of the Michigan football season. He was born May 7th, 1905. Came to Michigan out of Louisville, Kentucky, Manual High School, where he was All-State and All-Southern in football, All-State in basketball, and a state high jump champion as well. In 1921, he led Manual High School to the Kentucky Basketball Championship and was the highest scorer, 14 points, in the championship game, which was a 32-17 victory over Union Academy. And he was considered one of the greatest linemen in Michigan football history. Ray Bear was a lineman, 5'11", about 188 pounds, arriving on campus in 1924 and was a varsity Wolverine, 1925 through 1927. Benny Friedman said, quote, Ray was the best college lineman I ever saw, the fastest man on the squad. He was smart, he was quick, he was very aggressive, and he had great desire. He was wonderful on both offense and defense, end quote. In 1925, Bear was named Grantland Rice All-American Honorable Mention, and Michigan won the Big Ten title with a 7-1 record, outscoring their opponents 227-3. Yes, they gave up 3 points all season. In 1927, the year that Michigan Stadium was constructed and opened, the Wolverines finished 6-2 and in third place in the Big Ten. Bear became only the second person from Louisville to ever be named All-American, and he earned AP All-American second team honors. He was also named Grantland Rice All-American Honorable Mention and AP All-Western Conference first team. After graduating from Michigan in 1929, Bear returned to Louisville and coached an independent basketball team. He became the line coach at the University of Louisville. In 1932, he became the head football coach at Manual High School, his alma mater, and held that position for 12 years. In 1946, Ray moved to St. Xavier, a Catholic high school in Louisville, and became playfully known as Father Aubert. Illness forced Ray to step down in 1951, and he was compelled to remain in a wheelchair until he passed away in 1968. And the ultimate irony in this, Veronica, he was named as Father Aubert, but that bio came from jewsinsports.org, so it's just funny. Anyway, we're 18 Raymond Bear days away until the start of the Michigan football season. We are 18 Leo Robert Bugsy Koseski Jr. days away until the start of the Michigan football season. Leo, who still is, at last check, he was active. Met him at an event a few years ago, the nut crushing party at the U of M Club of Downriver. I was a chance. Still one of the great events that I ever spoke, where I spoke. First, David Turnley, Pulitzer Prize winning photojournalist. Second speaker, and maybe I have to order these two wrong, but second speaker, Jack Harbaugh, legendary storyteller, father of Jim Harbaugh, and then me. Somehow I was third in that line. I really should have let off. Those two are amazing storytellers. But I had a chance to meet Leo at that event, one of Michigan's all-time greats. The Cannonsburg Comet was born January 28, 1927, the youngest of 9 kids. His dad, Leo Sr., passed away in 1938 when Leo Jr. was just 11. He was a football and track star at Cannonsburg High School, and he chose Michigan over Pittsburgh. Penn State, I like the joke that he picked Michigan over Penn State, even though Joe Pa was already at Penn State back in 1947. Chose Michigan over Army, Navy, Notre Dame, Alabama, Tennessee, and Columbia. He explained in 1948, quote, ever since I was in the 6th grade at First Ward Public School, I had wanted to go to Michigan. It seemed too good to be true when they accepted me. End quote. Arriving on campus in 1947, Leo was a halfback, about 5'10", 165 pounds, and was a varsity Wolverine 1948 through 1950. He played on the freshman team for Wally Weber in 1947, was a national champion in 1948. In 1949, he and teammate Chuck Ortman were accused and investigated by the FBI for getting paid to not do a job, but it was confirmed that they were working and not just punching a time clock, so a no-show job. It was not the case. In early December 1949, A.D. Fritz Chrysler announced that the two players had been given a clean slate. There was no question of reinstatement of the players. They were never in a position for such a thing as reinstatement to arise, end quote. In 1950, injuries held Leo back, only starting a few games that season. He also won 2 Big Ten championships playing for the Michigan baseball teams. He was an outfielder and was elected captain for the baseball team in 1951. After Michigan, Koseski worked as a sales rep for Wilson Art Company in Michigan and lived in Dearborn Heights. In 1989, he was inducted into the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. And it's one of the all-time greats. We are 18 at Leo Robert Bugsy Koseski Jr. days away until the start of the Michigan football season. We are 18 Dennis Fitzgerald days away until the start of the Michigan football season. Dennis was born March 13th, 1936, graduated from St. Thomas High School in 1954, and then served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1954 to 1957. He was a member of the Camp Lejeune wrestling team in 56 and 57, and then he arrived on campus here in Ann Arbor in 1957 as well. Again, St. Thomas High School product here in Ann Arbor. Walked on at Michigan after being discharged from the Marines. Went on to become, after being a varsity Wolverine 1958 through 1960, he was named team MVP in 1960. He was also a successful wrestler in Ann Arbor. In 59 through 61, and in 60 and 61, he was the Big Ten champion at 177 pounds. Fast forward a couple years, in 1963, he was the Pan Am Games gold medal winner. Dennis Fitzgerald wore the number 32 early in his career, then switched to number 18 for his junior and senior seasons for the Maize and Blue. He had a long coaching career after playing at Michigan for both Benny Oosterbaan and Bump Elliott. From 1963 to 1974, he was an assistant at Michigan, Kentucky, and Kent State. He was the head coach at Kent State 1975, 76, and 1977. From 1978 through 1999, he was back to being an assistant coach again with Syracuse, Tulane, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Las Vegas Aces, Grand Valley, James Madison, and the Albany Firebirds. Chuck Knoll interviewed Dennis Fitzgerald, a 46-year-old. This is from 1990. He presented Jack Lambert at his induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Knoll interviewed Dennis Fitzgerald, a 46-year-old coach from Tulane with 21 years of experience in the college ranks at 9 a.m., hired him on the spot and put him immediately to work. He's to coach the linebackers, one of whom all-pro Jack Lambert was when Fitzgerald was an assistant at Kent State. So he coached him at Kent, coached him at Pittsburgh as well, and obviously we know Jack Lambert was awesome. Unfortunately, Dennis Fitzgerald tragically was diagnosed with lymphoma before the 1999 season, but he stayed with Albany where he won an Arena Bowl. His wife later said, quote, "It was his last year of coaching and he underwent radiation treatment and never missed a day of practice. When he retired in 1999, he had already lymphoma for 8 months," end quote. And then he passed away January of 2001 at the age of 64. We are 18 Dennis Fitzgerald days away until the start of the Michigan football season. We are also 18 Rick Seeger days away until the start of the Michigan football season. A halfback for the Wolverines, about 5'11", 180 or so pounds, out of Niles, Ohio, McKinley High School. Was on campus from 1962 through 1966. Rick Seeger wore number 18 for the Michigan football Wolverines in 1964, 65, and 66, and for the Michigan baseball Wolverines in 65, 66, and in 1967. He was born in Niles, Ohio on June 23rd, 1944, along with future Michigan Wolverines Dick Rinfus, Charles Kynes, Dennis Flanagan, Jim Sieber, and Jim Berline. Rick Seeger led the Niles McKinley Red Dragons to the 1961 Ohio State Football Championship. The Red Dragons were coached by Tony Mason, who became an assistant coach for Michigan head coach Bump Elliott in 1963 before becoming head coach at the University of Cincinnati and the University of Arizona. For the Wolverines, Rick Seeger played both offense and defense as a halfback and safety. He also returned punts and kickoffs and kicked extra points and field goals. Rick was a two-way starter for the 1964 Big Ten and Rose Bowl championship team, and which came within a failed two-point conversion against Purdue, who was led by quarterback Bob Greasy, father of Michigan great Brian Greasy. We actually mentioned him yesterday in the countdown as well. In 1964, Rick caught a touchdown pass and threw a halfback pass for a touchdown in the 17-10 upset of Ohio State. Rick Seeger is one of only 3 Michigan Wolverines in program history to score touchdowns all 4 ways offensively: passing, rushing, receiving, and returning in a career. The other 2 are Terry Barr and Steve Breston. In 1965, legendary Detroit News sports writer Jerry Green wrote an article about Rick starting the tradition of the Michigan team singing the victors in the locker room following a victory. At Michigan, Rick majored in architect and design and has been a practicing architect in New York City and on Long Island since 1968. On August 17, 1969, he married Janet Newland of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, which means that Rick and Janet celebrated their 50th anniversary a few years ago. Rick's much younger brother by 17 years, same parents, not remarriage, Dan, played baseball for Michigan in 1980 through 1983, and that has provided me with that bio a few years ago. And in fact, Dan joined us during the College Baseball World Series run a couple years ago. Now a few years ago. But when Michigan went to Omaha, Dan Seeger joined us here on the air. We are 18 Rick Seeger days away until the start of the Michigan football season. And we are 18 Amani Toomer days away until the start of the Michigan football season. Amani, of course, a wide receiver out of Berkeley, California, where he went to Concord de La Salle. Born September 8, 1974. He was a USA Today High School All-American in 1991, was a varsity Wolverine for the Michigan Wolverines from 1992 through 1995. In 94, he was a first-team All-Big Ten performer with 54 catches for 1,096 yards and 6 touchdowns. Just the third Michigan receiver at that point in time to eclipse 1,000 yards in a season. Let that sink in for a moment. That in 1994, Amani Toomer was just the third receiver in Michigan history to eclipse 1,000 yards in a season. In 1995, he was second-team All-Big Ten, and then he went on to have a very long NFL career from 1996 to 2008. He was a member of the New York Giants from 96 to 08. In 09, he was with the Kansas City Chiefs but did not play in the regular season. He won a Super Bowl with the Giants. He's a member of the Giants Ring of Honor. And at last check, he was the all-time leading receiver in New York Giants history. He passed Frank Gifford back in 2003. His post-playing career includes being in the media and other projects as well. We are 18 Amani Toomer days away until the start of the Michigan football season. And as I mentioned, there's two current members of the roster that wear the number 18. They are actually both walk-ons. One of them is a freshman walk-on, and he is freshman walk-on Jesse Madden, a quarterback from Oakland, California, Bishop O'Dowd, about 6'2", 198 pounds. And the other walk-on is junior walk-on defensive back Keyshawn Harris, 5'11", 186 pounds, from Lansing, Michigan, Waverly High School. A couple of walk-ons that wear the number 18. We will get back to varsity active contributing members of the roster, game day roster tomorrow when we return to when we resume the countdown. But today we are 18 Jesse Madden, 18 Keyshawn Harris, 18 Amani Toomer, 18 Richard Rick Seeger, 18 Dennis Fitzgerald, 18 Leo Robert Bugsy Koseski Jr., and 18 Raymond Bear days away until the start of the Michigan football season. The countdown to the Michigan football season is brought to you by our friends at Lewis Jewelers, your watch store. You can find them on Stadium Boulevard in Ann Arbor. You can find them online at lewisjewelers.com. Lewis Jewelers, proud partner of Michigan Athletics and Sports Talk 1050 WTK, the ticket. So here we go. Counting down. 18 days away until we return to the corner of Stadium in Maine for the Wolverines season opener. They'll take on Western Michigan September 4th at Michigan Stadium. More college football talk on the side of the break. News broke on Friday about a possible alliance in college football between the Big 10, the Pac-12, and the ACC. Maybe you want to call it the potential countermeasure to the SEC bringing in Texas and Oklahoma. We're going to discuss what this might look like, what this means, and more on the other side of the break here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTK, the ticket.